Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Camaro with Dying to DIY. For today's video, I have 3 Pinterest inspired farmhouse Dollar Tree decor pieces to share with you guys. So let's just jump right into it. So for my first project, I went in with this garden fence from Dollar Tree, and I just started out by taking my tin cutters and cutting off the edges. I cut off the stakes at the bottom, and then I cut apart each of the 4 scalloped pieces down the center as best as I possibly could. I just wanted to make sure that each of the pieces were as even as possible. Also, just a quick little side note before I get too far into the video, I do want to mention that these are Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook inspired DIYs. I unfortunately do not know the original creators of these ideas, so if you guys happen to know, please let me know so I can put them in my description box to give them credit. Alright, so here each of the pieces are cut apart. Total of 4 of them. My next step was to go in with this white Waverly chalk paint and just give them like a messy all over coat of paint. It's definitely not perfect. I did want to leave some of the original color popping through. Also, you can see I have little hands helping me with this project. My daughter was so eager to help. She did a really good job. I just had to spread out some of the paint a little bit for her. And here you can see it's kind of like a stone type of effect. I don't know. Anyways, it's really cool though when you leave some of that natural texture coming through and not covering it up completely. So yeah, I went in and painted the fronts and the backs of each of those 4 pieces. Next, I just went in with this Christmas shadow type of box sign from Dollar Tree. And I started by taking the little hanger off and the sticker as much as possible. It's really not a big deal if you leave some of that sticker in there. I just preferred to get it all out as much as I possibly could. I then went in with that Waverly chalk paint and painted the inside of the box and then the outer ridges, like the outer rim. And this paint job is definitely not perfect either. I do leave some of that natural color popping through a little bit just to give it a nice natural distressed look. And honestly, this is just personal preference. My next step was to go in with these woodcraft cubes from Dollar Tree as well. I took out 4 of them and painted them with that white Waverly chalk paint as well. Just a quick all over, super messy paint job. Okay, so here's what we have so far. We have the 4 little scalloped pieces of that garden fence. We have the little Christmas box that I painted the inside and the outer rims, and then the 4 little cubes. My next step was to take the cubes and just glue them onto the outer corners of the box. So here you can see I just made little legs to go onto my riser box. And this next part is just all about getting these scalloped fence pieces to fit inside of that box. So I had already tried to fit them in the box and they just weren't going in there flush against the inset of the box. So I just took my tin cutters and tried to cut off as much as I possibly could from the bottom to get them to fit in there nice and flat. I do have to just keep trimming and trimming and trimming until they all fit nice and even. Thankfully, you can't see the bottom of those fence pieces inside of the box, so it's okay to kind of cut as much as you need to off of the bottom edges, even if it's curved or doesn't look that pretty, since you're not really going to see it once they are glued inside of that box there. And once I had everything kind of mapped out and knew that they were going to fit in that box okay, I just went in with my E6000 hot glue combo and just started gluing those pieces to the inside of the box. Alright, so once I had the bottom pieces nice and glued into the box, I just needed to glue the side pieces together as well, just to make sure everything is nice and sturdy and stable. Alright, so here are the little side pieces nice and glued together. Some of the pieces are a little funky, just the way that I had cut the pieces, and not everything lined up perfectly, but that's okay because I went in with this Dollar Tree spackling and I just took some of that product in my finger and kind of pushed it into the areas that needed it, just to fill in some of those gaps and those spaces that just didn't really line up that well. And honestly, this product was just so perfect for this. It was so easy to use and manipulate, and yeah, it just fixed everything right up. Here you can see one of the areas that I filled in with that spackling. It just fit and fixed everything so nicely. I then did go in with the Waverly chalk paint just to give it a little coat of paint, just to kind of blend everything in. And I also used the spackling to fill in that hole where the hanger was on the box. So this project is basically done, but of course we just need to dress it up a little bit. I'm going to go in with some lamb's ear that is from Walmart for only $2, such a great deal. I just start by cutting off those stems, and I'm just going to place them inside the little lantern piece, I guess you could call it, at the bottom area. I do then go in with this like larger pillar candle, which I honestly can't remember where I got it from, but I know you can get them at like Walmart and such. And I just fill in the lamb's ear around it. And this is how that piece turned out, you guys. How stinking cute, right? It is so adorable. Look at all those like textures and just the neutral colors coming in. I really, really love this piece. I did want to make a second one. You just know, if you've watched me before, you know I like things in pairs. I just haven't got around to it, but I definitely will be making another one of these. I love it so much. So beautiful. For my next project, I'm going to be making a faux apothecary cabinet using some Dollar Tree items. I go in with 9 of these square wooden boxes, and I'm going to be using my brown Waverly wax just to kind of give them like a stained type of effect. And I'm just going to stain them, well, use the wax all over every square inch of this box, except for the insides of the box. I did try to do one of the boxes like fully covered with doing the inside as well, and it was just so much work, you guys. So I gave up and I decided not to do the insides of the other boxes. Alright, so the first box is done with its first step, at least, with, full coverage with the brown wax. I did go ahead and do the rest of the 8 boxes off camera for you guys. I just did not want to bore you with all of that because it is a little bit more time consuming. It did take quite a bit of time for me to do all those. So anyways, my next step was to go in with the white Waverly chalk paint, and I'm just going to be giving these boxes like an all over whitewash type of look. My idea, I really wanted this to look kind of vintage, more antique. So this is why I went through the process that I did. I want to really cover these boxes with the white paint, but I still want to leave some of that brown popping through. This is just going to add to that distressed, worn type of look that I was going for. Alright, here you can see how that box turned out. And next it was just time to do that to the rest of the boxes. Alright, so once I had the boxes nice and coated with that white paint, I just went back in with the brown Waverly wax and used a little piece of cheesecloth. I don't know why I can't say cheesecloth today. Cheesecloth. And I just kind of covered, little pieces here and there on each side of the box, and then I went back in with my white Waverly paint and just went over it, and I kind of did this back and forth until I was just happy with the look of each of the boxes. If you guys have seen some of my other videos, you just know that this is kind of the method and the process I go through to give it that like worn, aged type of feel that I'm going for. After I had all of the boxes painted to my liking and gave them enough time to dry, it was just time to put the boxes back together. So instead of having the shapes on the front, we're going to turn that little drawer piece around and make the shapes go to the back of the box. So that way the front is nice and solid and just gives you this nice clean finish. Next, I went in with an E6000 hot glue combo, and I just started by gluing the bottom 3 boxes together on each of their sides. I do go in here in a second and add some wood glue, you know, doing the most here, super extra, but I really wanted to make sure that this whole cabinet was just nice and sturdy and that it wasn't, you know, it wasn't going to fall apart on me. So I did add the wood glue into that mixture, and then I just started, you know, gluing it on layer by layer. And you just want to make sure that each of the sides are flush with each other as much as they possibly can be. I mean, these boxes are from Dollar Tree, so they're not perfectly like symmetrical to each other. So you just want to kind of line them up the best that you can. Alright, once everything was nice and glued together and nice and stable, sturdy, my last step was to go in with these really cute little vintage cabinet pools that I ordered from Amazon. And I just went and hot glued each of those on to the middle of each of the little cabinet pieces. And here is how this piece turned out, you guys. Again, so friggin' cute. I can't even handle it. Can't get enough of it. So cute. I personally have seen a lot of these with the darker like walnut stain or using that Waverly wax, and I personally just really wanted mine to have like a whitewash, light and bright, you know, but antique finish to it, and I just love it so much. Alright, you guys, on to my third and final project for this video. Super easy, simple, but so stinking cute. I'm going to go in with a Dollar Tree candle holder, Dollar Tree basket, Dollar Tree splatter screen, but we're only going to be using the knob on that screen, and then a Dollar Tree stovetop cover. I'm going to go in with that white Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to give each of these pieces 2 coats of paint, a nice full coverage paint job. I do want to mention I did not paint the basket. I really thought I was going to, but after I had painted the other items, I just decided that the colors matched really nicely. All the whites were, you know, matching together. Alright, here you can see that all of these pieces have a nice full coverage of paint on them. I mean, the candlestick holder was still white, but it was like an off-white color, and I just really wanted each of these pieces to have that chalky finish onto them. So my next step was to go in with the brown Waverly wax again, and I just kind of very lightly glazed, you know, use my chip brush and just kind of glazed it over each of these pieces just to distress it a little bit, give it more of an antique type of feel. I was really selective though with how much glaze, like wax, I was using. I didn't want it to be super excessive. I just kind of went lightly here and there. And then also, again, I do go in with the Waverly white chalk paint and just cover up some of those areas that I felt were a little too dark. So also for this step, I did include the basket. I did want, you know, the overall look to have an antique type of finish to it. So I did add some of that wax to the basket in kind of like an all over, no rhyme or reason type of fashion. Once I had everything painted, it was time to glue everything together. But once I started gluing the basket onto the candlestick, I noticed that the candlestick kind of has like a dip on the top, a little inset. So the basket just wasn't adhering to the candlestick. So I went in with these little wooden circles that I bought from Walmart, and I just painted that in the same way with the white, the glaze, you know, little white, little glaze, and just to make sure everything matched. And then I glued that onto the candlestick with the E6000 hot glue combo, and that fixed, you know, my problem. It was perfect. So once I had the little wooden circle glued onto the candlestick, I was able to have a nice solid base to glue the basket down onto that wooden piece. And yes, it just adhered very nicely and it stuck really well. My last little step for this project was to take the little splatter screen knob, and I'm going to glue that on top of the stovetop cover just to give this little project like a cute little lid, a little cover. It's super cute with just the basket and the candlestick, but I just really like the little extra touch the lid brings to it. And here's how this project turned out. Oh my goodness. Cute, cute, cute. Love it so much. This project was just a quick and easy way to really add to my farmhouse decor, and honestly, I can't wait to fill it up with goodies all year long. Anyways guys, before I wrap up this video, I did want to give you another just quick little walkthrough of each of the pieces that I made in this video. Just really wanted you to, to be able to see how I staged them in my house and just kind of how they all came together. They really accentuate one another and just, they work so well together. They can each stand on their own and just be just as beautiful, but the way they come together is, what I'm really in love with. I also really love that neutral, natural farmhouse type of feel, but it has like an aged, worn type of look to each piece. Love that. I really feel like it fits well with my farmhouse decor over here, and hopefully it inspires you guys to make some of these pieces for your house that, fit in with your decor. Also, I did want to show you guys that I filled up the little apothecary basket with some corks and some florals, which is super, super cute. I did try to add some lemons to them at one point, but I was like, you know what, we're still so far away from summer. Let's go with something more neutral, more like spring vibes. So this is what I came up with for right now. Also, I mean, you could put like real fruits and vegetables in there and keep it in your kitchen. That would be absolutely adorable as well. Alright, well, that is all I have for you guys for this video. I honestly love, love, love each of these pieces, and I hope you all did too. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and leave me a couple of comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time.